Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to our weekly football press conference. San Jose State Mountain West Conference champions for the first time in their program history. First conference title for the Spartans since 1991. And with the win in Las Vegas, the Spartans have accepted the bowl opportunity down in Arizona for the Arizona Bowl. They will play Ball State, the MAC champions this year, and that game will be on the 31st of December, a 12 o'clock Mountain Time kickoff and 11 a.m. Pacific Time kickoff, and will be covered by CBS on the television side, and we'll have the call for you on our radio network, including TuneIn, beginning 30 minutes prior on game day. Also would like to pass on Coach Brennan, who was the Mountain West Coach of the Year, is now listed as a finalist for the Eddie Robinson 2020 Coach of the Year Award, which is the national award as well. And with that, he's one of 9 coaches on the finalist list. We'll head it over to the head coach. Coach Brennan, go ahead.
Thanks for coming. What a weekend. Just what a, past 10 months or whatever it's been. We are really, really excited to be playing in the Arizona Bowl. I think that's an incredible deal. Playing another champion from a conference we have a lot of respect for in the MAC. Mike New, we have a mutual friend actually from the Bay. I don't know how we're connected, but so I've been following him since he took over there, and there's a really similar path to ours. And so I think this is a really fascinating matchup. If you look to where he was in 2017, 18, like there's some real similarities there. And then kind of what they've been able to do this year has been awesome. So we got a big time opponent, down there in Tucson, and it's going to be an awesome event. We're excited to be a part of it. We've been to, this will be our 5th bowl game in 30 years. And that is something that is really exciting around here, really exciting for our program and our players and our university. So we're really excited to get down there and get ready to play some good football.
All right, with that, we have a representative from the Arizona Bowl. Eric Rhodes is on the call. Eric, go ahead and give some opening comments.
Absolutely. Thank you so much to the San Jose State family. We could not be more thrilled and excited to have you joining us here in the old Pueblo in just a few days. Glad you get a couple of hours at home, and then you get to get back on the road where you guys have dominated the Road Warrior syndrome. Just to our local media, thank you so much for joining, and to the San Jose State media, we're excited to potentially host you in Tucson as well. For credential applications, go to our website, thearizonabowl.com. and click on game, and it'll have the media application right there. Coach Brennan, super excited to bring your brand of football and the Spartans here to Tucson, and thrilled you accepted our bid, and really excited about this Clash of Champions, as we're calling it, here in the desert. So thanks very much. Look forward to seeing you guys really soon.
All right, with that, we're going to open in some questions. And again, if you are participating, you can raise your hand in the participants function of this, or you can type a question in the chat and we'll rotate through. We just ask that you identify yourself and the outlet that you're with when we go to you. We're going to start with David Kelly. Go ahead.
Hey, Coach. I know we got a big room here, so I'm going to get you 2 quick ones here and then get out. And there's a big elephant in the room. I know last week you were asked about your name being bandied about for the Arizona job. What contact have you had with the Wildcats concerning their football position? And then when you spoke at Dick Tomey's memorial, you said that he was like your father, your football coach. And just how was he instrumental in your path to where you are right now?
I think anytime you win, there's going to be those questions, those things are going to come up. People in the athletics world, in the media world, all need, want to try and find something to talk about or fill the void with it. And so, I think when those conversations starts, it's really a reflection of what's happening here at San Jose State. It's a reflection of what's happening with our players and what this team has accomplished, which has just been, in my opinion, nothing short of exceptional. And so it's pretty cool to be a part of that and to see this team come as far as we have. I think the media picked us 10th preseason, right? So to end, in the pole position is pretty special. And as for Coach Tomey, that was the last time I was in Tucson. He's more than my, football dad. He was just a really important man to me. I was incredibly honored to speak at his service. And, I wish there was, more speakers. I felt like I could have sat there all day and listened to people tell stories about him and what they meant to him. And I think about Coach every day. And I think he would have loved what this team has been through. And he would have loved the part of the challenge that COVID presented teams. Like he would have really, really ate that up and flourished in that space. And so, I use a lot of his phrases. I talk about him all the time. He's always a real point of reference for me as I'm, building our team and getting ready for games and all those things. So I miss Dick Tomey dearly, and what a great influence he had on my life. I think about him every day.
All right, we're going to go over to Steve Kroner. Go ahead.
Brent, yeah, I got two quick questions for you, if I could. One would be, there have been a lot of teams in college football, understandably, who have decided not to play bowl games this year. With all the travails you guys have endured, was there any time in the past couple of weeks where you or any of the players even brought up the notion that maybe you wouldn't go beyond the Mountain West Championship game?
There wasn't. And really, I think because there was such a focus on the championship game. And if you remember, we didn't know if we could get there, right? We had to go beat Hawaii on the road. Then we had to beat Nevada in Las Vegas. And then, then we had to play the championship game. So, that was all, I think our players did an incredible job, and our coaching staff, of keeping that thing focused on the process, right? The day to day, and not looking ahead to a bowl game, not looking ahead to the Mountain West Championship. And that became a consistent theme for us. Just focus on the process. What are you doing right now? And that gave us a real chance to stay locked into that time, even though, everything on the perimeter kept changing, right? We're practicing at a high school. We're getting on a plane. We're flying to Hawaii. We're on a red eye to Vegas. We're, even in Vegas, like our schedule got tweaked. We were in finals and we had to practice at UNLV one day, right? So we had to drive across town to go practice there. So I think our players just did an incredible job of just staying focused on the Mountain West Championship game. And when we won that game, the biggest thing was just, having a schedule in place for them that gave them a chance to see their families. That's been the hardest thing and the worst thing about COVID in football, in my opinion, is families not being able, especially the season we've had, families and fans not being able to share in just the experience of, a really fun season, obviously, and just a lot to be excited about, and not being able to see their sons perform has been really, really hard. And so our players needed to see their people. And so there was never any talk about that, though.
Okay. And then quickly, if you were going to use a few adjectives to describe Nick Starkel, the player, and Nick Starkel, the person, what would those adjectives be?
Resilient, incredibly likable, leader. Like he's got real leadership to him. I mean, every good thing you can say about a person, I would say about Nick. His story is fascinating, right? And I get it. When he went through multiple staff transitions, right? He started out hot and then he got benched. I mean, it's really, his story is more typical of a college student athlete than the guy that starts as a freshman and is an All-American and gets drafted in the first round. It's a lot more struggle because everybody's good and everybody can play. And so just to see him through this process and what he's done has been fantastic. You had 6 days of spring ball. You didn't have the normal summer. It was much different. So he's an awesome young man.
Thanks.
Hey, Michael Lev, I believe. Go ahead.
Hey there. Yes. Michael Lev with the Arizona Daily Star. Hey, Brent, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you. How would you describe the scene in the locker room after the game? I think we all saw the video. Everyone's sort of got their arms around everyone else's shoulder, singing a song. What was that like?
Really, I think that was maybe the most special moment I've had in my football, in my football side of my life. It was just, that song, it's kind of a cool story. In training camp of 2019, when we could still have team meetings indoors, I was walking into our team meeting, and I was outside having a discussion with one of our assistant coaches, and all of a sudden, one of our Polynesian guys just started singing "Lean on Me," and then the room exploded into this song. And then every night when we had our nighttime team meeting, they would start it by singing "Lean on Me," and just be, we were coming off a 1-11 year, like there was just this really big, and we pushed it as a coaching staff, but just really big thought, like, no, we have to count on each other. We have to be accountable to each other. We have to work together. And so the "Lean on Me" just kind of took on a life of its own. And then every Friday night before the game, we would sing it. And so, and we'd, like, just like you saw, arm in arm, and everybody would sing it. And so, yeah, I was worried about getting them back in the locker room after the game, the celebration, just the happiness and the excitement of watching them run around and take selfies and, fire Snapchat across the world with the trophy. It's just a really, really fun moment. And so once we got them back in there, it was really neat to be able to get everybody together, make a few comments, and then have that moment, and just, it was really, really special. And I think the video, you feel that in the video. I think the video is really, really neat.
Besides the sense of camaraderie that clearly was being built, was there anything else during those first 2 seasons that sort of gave you hope that you were headed in the right direction?
Michael, I've spoken a little bit about it. Our second year, there were, I think it was 6. I'm pretty sure it was 6. There were 6 games where we were tied, leading, or 1 possession down in the fourth quarter. And so, trying to explain to the team how close we were going into 2019, I took screenshots of all those scoreboards, and I kind of stacked them in blocks on top of each other, and I posted them in every locker. And that was like the story. I was like, now we need to learn how to finish. Now we need to learn how to make big plays in those moments late in the game where, someone has to step up, someone has to make a play to finish it for us. And that kind of started to gain momentum. I think the players, over time, we have also, like, gone through those games and shown the kind of the series and how the football changed, right? If you're an offensive player, defensive player, special teams player, sometimes you just focus on the mistake made in your world, but you don't necessarily see the chain reaction of those events. So trying to educate our players on football, like, no, this is why you can't jump offside right here, right? Because that put us at, 2nd and 15 instead of 2nd and 10, right? And now I can't go for it on 4th down if we're in a position to, like, it just changes the whole decision-making process. So being able to take those scoreboard shots and then wind it backwards and try and teach some football, like, okay, this is what happened, and this is why. And it was, our players really bought into it, and it was awesome. And so I think that was the start of it. And then we obviously played better football in 2019. We didn't win enough, but we played better football.
Thank you.
All right, over to Chris Vanini. Go ahead.
Yeah, Brent, you guys are ranked number 6 in the Colley Matrix, which is technically one of the NCAA recognized national championship formulas. It's what UCF used a couple years ago. If you guys win, if you become number 1 potentially in that, have you had any thought about declaring yourself national champions?
That's a great question. Why not? You win them all. But no, I think college football is doing the best it can. Right. This is such a unique year with the just challenges that are just, there's no way any of us could plan for this. And so that's kind of why we've stayed in this space of just worrying about, like, us and worrying about this moment or this day or this week, or just trying to help our team do that because of just the distractions and the COVID and the mask wearing and the testing and just all of it. Right. So, but yeah, sure. Whatever, let's play.
Thanks.
Okay, go ahead, Justice De Los Santos.
Hey, Coach. Good to see you with a
Justice.
little bit more stable internet connection compared to Saturday. You came back to the Bay Area for the first time in quite some time. So was there any consideration into staying in Vegas or potentially flying to Arizona, or instead of coming back to the Bay, or was it the only real option to get the kids home for the holidays?
To me, that was the only real option, and really because just the mental health component for our young men. I mentioned that they hadn't seen their families all season, but they really hadn't seen their families since July 14th, right? And so that's a long time for any of us to be away. I hadn't seen, and this trip we were gone for 17 days, which is a long time to be away, right? So that part of it was so important for our guys, and then just the very real consideration for our players when they're, some of them were raised by grandparents. Some of them have grandparents living in the house, and they have COVID concerns. They're like, Coach, what if my grandmother gets COVID while I'm gone and I haven't had a chance to see her since July? So those were the conversations with the players one-on-one. And, so I think giving them a chance to go home and be with their people was the right thing to do, because it was right for their mental health.
Are you kind of sending them off with like a list of recommended workouts or just ways to kind of keep them engaged, or is it just see it on Sunday?
No, absolutely. And big part of that is for them is also just like their COVID discipline and their process while they're away from us, right? We've asked if they, can get their family tested before they come in the house. Like there's been a lot of those conversations to try and, protect that process and protect our discipline best we can. And there's been, like, our team has been fantastic at that. Like they've been amazing at it, so we feel our COVID discipline is one of the reasons when we started, training camp, and we started not training camp, excuse me, but when the players reported back on July 14th, our team meeting that week, one of the statements I made was the team with the best COVID discipline will win the Mountain West Championship. And I feel like that happened. And so, and were there other teams that were good at it? Sure. But I do think we were the best at it. And so for that, like, I'm super proud of our players, and I'm so excited that they got rewarded with this, playing good football and winning the conference championship and now getting to go to a really great bowl game.
Okay, over to Greg Hansen.
Greg Hansen, Arizona Daily Star. Brent, I was just wondering, could you imagine another coach being fortunate enough to grow up as a coach under a Big Four like Terry Donahue and Rich Ellerson and Mike Riley and Dick Tomey?
I've been lucky that way, Greg, and I feel awesome about, my experience with them and what I learned from all of them. And, I still talk to Coach Donahue. I still talk to Coach Riley. I still talk to Coach Ellerson. It's those people have been great people for me. And I feel lucky that way because, we're all a product of our experience, right? And you learn different things from everybody you work for or work with, right? Like you pull from that. Sometimes you learn things that you don't want to do, right? But now being in this role, like, all those guys have been amazing for me. And, obviously missing Coach Tomey because, during those hard years here, I talked to him after every game on Sunday. Every week we would talk. And sometimes he was like full-fledged chewing me out because he had watched the game. But, the mentors and there's a lot, and that list is long. There's a lot of other people that have been special, helping me grow as a coach and learn as a coach. And I'm really grateful for everyone's involvement in my process. Dino Babers and David Shaw and Chip Kelly. Like, there's been a lot of really, Craig Bull in our conference has been tremendous. So I think the coaching profession is unique in that coaches tend to share. Like, there's no like proprietary, business or details there. Like, coaches actually really truly share with each other. And so, like, you have a group of people working in a profession that actually can like raise the collective. It's really awesome that way.
How long would it take you to answer all your texts and tweets?
I still got 634, Greg. So I'm trying. And the hard part is that there's obviously there's mixed a lot of people that I really care about, right? Like, today I finally responded to Coach Vermeil. I mean, he's another guy that I talk to, a couple times a month. He's been great in my journey here at San Jose. And so I finally responded to his text today. And he's such a ball coach, and he's such a great guy. He said, make sure you take a deep breath and take a break when you get a chance to, because it's been such a grind. But so someday I'll get through all of them, I hope.
Thank you.
It's a good problem to have. I promise if we lost, I wouldn't have that many.
Okay, Elliot Allman. Elliot?
Hi. Whoops.
Unmute yourself, Elliot.
Here. How about now?
Yep, there you go.
I'm sorry about that. I guess it's an old person's issue and with all these young guys here, except for Steve. Thank you for taking the time today, Brent. I just had a logistical question because, as you know better than anybody in the world, we're living in a county in a state in which the coronavirus rules are confounding, to say the least. So I'm just trying to figure this out in my head. There's a quarantine for people who come from 150 miles away. It's a 10-day quarantine. But if you guys are leaving on Sunday, did the county have the school talk to the county and that's okay? So that's the first question.
Okay, so I'm supposed to pass all those questions on to Lawrence and Marie, and so you're going to have to circle back with them to get the details of that. But as I understand it, the county, Sundays, like we're just passing through because we're leaving right away. We're just coming in to get tested.
Okay, and the other question I had also was a logistical one dealing with the county, and you're saying that you're pointing to Marie and Lawrence for that as well, I guess. All right, thanks a lot, and congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thanks for coming on.
Over to Kaylin Mills now. Go ahead.
Okay, there we go. Sorry, unmute. It's not just an old people's problem, okay? Kylan Mills, first of all, with Cron 4 News. Congratulations, Coach. You've talked several times over the last few weeks just about how important senior leadership was to your team's success. What has it been like for you as a coach to watch these guys progress as players, progress as people, and to go from that 1-11 record to now, all the success and the reward of a bowl game?
It's awesome. It's really great to see them, because for them, they really had to focus on like the process of development, which, like, as we all know, like no one wants to do that. It's not fun. It's not, you know what I mean? Just that hard work, the grind of the day to day, stacking those small successes on top of each other, trying to build something collectively. And so like, it's incredibly rewarding for me to look at it from like the kind of the top view. I hope it's rewarding for them. It just, I feel like it is. I feel like they have some appreciation and kind of gratitude for that moment on Saturday night. But I also know that, football, sports, it's, that was Saturday, it's 2 days ago. What's next? And what's next is Ball State. And so how do we get ready for that? And how do we keep climbing this mountain, right? We have a chance to have an undefeated season. 1939 was the last time that happened. I mean, that's just crazy to put that in that context. And so for these young men to be like, okay, we took care of this. And there was a lot of really cool moments throughout the season that kind of got us to this point. But now let's finish it. And let's continue that growth and development, player to player, and get to the finish line.
One follow-up question. Just what is it that's so special about this group that could take you guys to, finish out this historic season? What have you seen in the players that has just been so different than years past?
I think because there was so much struggle early on, so that 2-10 and 1-11, and even a year ago we were so close, right? We lost to Hawaii by 2 and Nevada by 3 on a last second field goal. Oh my gosh, I was like, wanted to cry. We lost to UNLV. We played a really uncharacteristic game at UNLV, turned Josh Love, the best player in the conference, through 5 picks. Like, it was just a mess. And so I think they could see all those things and just say, we just need to be a little more disciplined. We need to play for each other a little more. We added some players to our team, obviously Nick Starkel, but we added some defensive linemen that are really impacting us. And so that kind of gave us a better ability to stop the run. So I think that like going through the struggle of those early years and then getting to that first moment, that gave them the confidence and belief in each other to beat Air Force, which is where this all started to me, right? Like we came together at Humboldt. We really came together over Zoom and trying to find creative ways to connect over Zoom. And that was a challenge because everybody was home, but I thought we did a good job of that as a staff, everybody presenting ideas. And then so all these steps kind of added to this kind of magical journey where by the end of it, like pretty sure we were sick of each other, right? Like we've been together so much. It was almost like being with your family because on a road trip, right? So it's just really, really neat. I think fundamentally it comes down to this team cared more about each other than we have in the past.
Thanks, Coach.
Okay, we're going to get back to questions here in a moment, but I do know that Eric Rhodes from the Arizona Bowl wanted to take the floor once again. Eric, go ahead.
Thank you, Justin. I would be remiss if I didn't introduce our executive director, Kim Adair, who has joined the call. I know she would like to just send a quick welcome to Coach and both San Jose State media and our local media.
Coach, I'm one of these 600 texts embedded in your phone somewhere. I know you'll get to it. But I just want to take this opportunity to welcome you and your team to come to Tucson. We're so thrilled to have you here. You've been on our radar for a really long time. What a spectacular season this has been for you. And this matchup is going to be, I think, terrific. I mean, I don't know if you saw, but Yahoo ranked it as the 11th best matchup of the year. So we are certainly very excited about that, and know you and your team will come and look to continue that winning season. So congratulations and welcome. We'll see you in Tucson next week.
Thanks a lot. It sounds great.
All right, over to Jara. Go ahead.
What's good, Coach? It's Jara Gajula from the Spear. How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you, Jara?
I'm great. So I'm gonna list some names off for you. Stop me if you recognize any of them. Nick Saban, Dabo Swinney, Tom Allen. Does ring a bell?
Seen the list.
Those ring. Yeah. At the beginning of the season, did you think? I like the sign. Did you think you would be in a conversation with those names and in terms of an award, and just in general, how do you feel about being named a finalist for a Coach of the Year award at this point of the season?
Yeah, I would say no. I didn't expect that. But I think anytime that stuff happens, those being nominated for those things, or our players being all conference, or it just speaks to what the team has done, right? Like it really pulls it back for me to like, if we sucked, I'm not on that list, right? Like if we weren't playing good football, and we're playing good football because of the players, right? And because of the way this team came together. So for me, it's like a really simple to just talk about what they've done, because they handled COVID discipline. They were, we took them away for training camp. We canceled the season on them. Then we restarted it. Then we took them away. And then, there's just been all these things throughout the course of the year. It's all about them. And they're the ones that did all the hard work. They're the ones that made all the plays. And so it's just, when that stuff happens to me, it's just another recognition of our football team and the special stuff they've done this year.
Okay, Steve Rivera, go ahead.
Yeah, good afternoon, Coach. Hey, real quick, you spent some time here in Tucson back in the day. I wonder if you can relay maybe a couple of great moments, if you have any, of being down here.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, when I was there as a graduate assistant, my younger brother was playing there, and it was a really cool time to be on the field with him. We had never played together. So I got to coach him a lot, and I was working with a really good staff of really good people. It was my introduction to Dave Phipp, who I was later in his wedding, who's kind of a famous Zona alum. But it was it was a good time. It was a good time there. I'm trying to think of the best moment down there. There were some hard moments. We had some crazy hard fought games, that year. And really what it did for me was like, it set me on this career path with Coach Tomey and that staff, right? Because after that year was over, Coach Tomey was fired, and then I went to Cal Poly with Rich Ellerson, who designed Desert Swarm and all that stuff. So then I was kind of staying in the family, right? I was staying in the Coach Tomey family tree, and then a couple years later after that, Coach Tomey came back to San Jose, which has really brought me to where I am now. And so in this crazy kind of way, going down to, being in Tucson for that year and having that experience with those coaches and that staff really paved the path for me professionally, that continues with being the head coach at San Jose State.
If I could real quick, Tomey, like you said, had a lot of sayings, a lot of them. A favorite one, maybe what it means to you?
Oh my gosh, he has so many. I mean, the tougher it gets, the better we play, or the harder it gets, the better we play was the staple. Football's not complicated, people are, which you learn that as a head coach now. Goodness gracious. Like football's not complicated, people are. Those are probably two of my favorites. Players are a mirror of their coach, which my assistant coaches hate, but yeah, there's a lot of them, and he was special.
Thank you.
All right, before we go to Jackson Moore, I want to remind our participants that if you have another question, we're going to cycle back through. So you can either re-raise your hand, or if you still have it raised and don't have a question, just go ahead and take it down, but we'll get back through you guys. Jackson Moore, go ahead.
Coach, as focused as you guys are on winning this game, both are typically a time to have some festivities and celebrations and maybe contribute in the community. Just what do you know about what opportunities you might have over that week during this kind of time?
Actually, we haven't had that, those initial conversations started today. I know it feels like a long time, but like Saturday night was just Saturday night. You know what I mean? Like it was just not that. So, our football operations and our athletic director have been talking with the Arizona Bowl people, and that I'll get some of those details are like starting to trickle into me. But obviously everything is, heavily impacted by COVID, and just making the right choices for everybody involved, our team, their team, the people involved with the bowl game.
And if I can follow up, just with the large majority of your players not having participated in a bowl before, is there something that you hope they get out of it in that sense, and anything you might want to try to replicate if you can't do it when you normally would?
That's a really good question, because you're right, they haven't played before, but we hadn't played in a conference championship game before either. We hadn't played football games in December, to me, this is in lots of ways a year of firsts. And our players have handled it really well. So I'm excited about, I think they'll be really excited to play. They were really fired up about playing Boise on Saturday. It was really a really cool, just an amazing moment, and to be a part of it, and just to see the joy and the smiles on their faces. And I think we'll approach even practice leading up to Boise was really ton of energy and lots of enthusiasm, and really good hard work practice. My athletic director asked me every day, hey, how was practice today? I'm like, it's been great. I mean, she's like, yeah, but you always say that. I'm like, no, this time I this is serious. They are locked in for this thing. And I think that's how it will be for this one too.
All right, we're going to go back to David Kelly. Go ahead.
Coach David Kelly, News 4 Tucson again. I was the first one to get the sign. So where did you get that sign? Who made it for you? Is Stop I'm Climbing the Mountain, is that a season-long kind of mantra that you've used, or is that something kind of now that fits the timing of the situation we're in?
No, so that it's funny that it started last March, when we had to send the team home, and we were trying, I was like, we need a way to kind of talk about what we're trying to do with what we're facing, being apart, COVID, are we going to have training camp? There's so many unknowns. And so we just had to keep finding ways to climb the mountain, so to speak. Right. And so it became part of my messaging with the team then. And then when we got back here and we started practicing, there was so many people that did not believe we could win. Right. And sometimes one of the hardest things with your players is like, even what their family says to them, right? Like, oh, you guys are good, but you can't beat Air Force. They're going to run for 600, and so the way I presented to the team was like, whenever you get any of that negativity from whoever it is, just tell them, stop. I'm climbing the mountain. I don't have time for your negativity. I don't have time for your whatever. Well, then we win 3 in a row and we go and play and we beat San Diego State on the road. Then everyone's being nice to us, right? And so then it became the exact same mantra. Like, now people are going to tell you how good you are. They're going to try and get you to fall into a trap and lose against UNLV this week. So tell them, stop. I'm climbing the mountain. So it just became this saying, and it was awesome because, as you guys have seen, I'm sure a lot, there's, the social media that our players get attacked with at times. There was multiple occasions this year where our players just responded with, stop, I'm climbing the mountain. And it was just a good way for them to work through it. And obviously the Mountain West Conference, right? Like there was like a lot of play on words there that worked, winning the conference championship, like we're, climbing the mountain. And then the next message for us is like, every time you get to the top of the mountain, you just look ahead, there's another one to climb. So let's get to work.
And what did you learn, I guess, from Coach Tomey in that last season, kind of, being in the midst of that, and did you guys know that potentially it could be over at the end, and maybe just what you learned about the business of football, having to deal with the end of a regime like that?
Yeah, I think that was, you're talking about Arizona or San Jose?
Yeah, 2000 in Arizona, correct.
Yeah, I think that was really, he had been there for so long, right? He had been just an institution in the Pac-12 or Pac-10, and a legend. He coached so many players. His players all felt so passionately about him, and so you realize that at the end of the day, this is a result-oriented business, right? And like I said, like at the beginning of the deal, right? We got more people on this call than we've had all year, but if we got smoked by Boise on Saturday night, this Zoom wouldn't be filled up, right? So it's a result-oriented business. And so, that was hard for me to see because I was at the time a really young coach. I was newly married. I was like, oh my gosh, this poor woman. But at least gave you an idea that good people are good people and good coaches land on their feet.
All right, we'll give a chance here to go back to one of the questions about the game responsibilities and team responsibilities for the bowl. Kim, do you want a chance to answer that maybe?
Oh, about the activities? Yeah, sure. So we're super excited to have the team coming. We've got some great things planned for them, albeit within their own bubble. Of course, the health and safety of the teams and all of the people supporting the game are at the highest pinnacle for us. I mean, we want to make sure that everybody is safe, and we've got some things planned for the teams within their own bubble, so they don't have to leave the hotels if they don't want to. Of course, they're going to get some awesome swag bags, and they're going to have some great hospitality and games, and a chance to even connect further with each other during their time here in Tucson. Plus, they're going to see some cactus and be able to swim in some pools in the middle of winter and some jacuzzis. I mean, what football player isn't going to love that type of hospitality when they get here? There's going to be a lot to look forward to.
Thanks very much. Greg Hansen, we'll go back to questions with you.
Hey, Brent, what did you do between the year when you coached at Woodside High School and then went to Hawaii?
Like what was I doing for work?
Yeah, I mean, was it your beginning at Hawaii?
Yeah, that was my first graduate assistant job. Yep.
Did Dick line you up with that job?
No, actually a guy named Tom Williams did. When I was at Woodside, he was recruiting our school, and that just started our relationship. And then the head coach was Fred Von Oppen, who was kind of a Bay Area 49ers assistant coach guy, been around a long time, really great guy. And his son and I played high school football together. And yeah, his son's now a firefighter here in Menlo Park. Good guy. And so that's how that started. And that kind of started me on this path.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Elliot Allman, go ahead.
Hi, I think I got the unmute done correctly this time. Thanks. Brent, I was just thinking about the rhythm of this team and the momentum, but I'm wondering if this is an opportune time to have shut down activities for a week, that it's been such a hard climb, as your metaphor states, that you've already said that the mental aspect was really important for the kids to get to be with their families. But what about the physical? Is this going to be a time in which people have a chance to heal up, and that actually you're going to come back on Monday at practice and be sharper?
I would think we'll be fresher, but maybe not sharper, right?
Yeah.
I would think we'll be fresher or more fresh. But the time off is critical. Their bodies and their minds and their hearts need to heal. You know, this has just been a hard time on everybody. And so, you know, I think this is the timing of this is exactly what they need.
I can ask a follow-up question, please?
Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. The other question, it's nothing to do with what I just asked, but I want to go back to St. Francis in San Jose State, and then you have Neil Perry, San Jose State and St. Francis. And I'm wondering if you have a relationship with him, and maybe even bring him in for an inspirational talk with the team, or any kind of relationship like that.
Yeah, Neil's an awesome guy and a fantastic Spartan. And yes, he's coaching at my alma mater, St. Francis. But and I have not had him back, but his timeline also coincides with the season because he's coaching there. So definitely a guy that I would love to get in front of the team in the off season. And again, like last year, kind of got cut short too, right? We missed, you know, between March, April, May, June, and July, we missed 6-7 months of just like normal programming that we wrap into our speakers, professional development, all of our Beyond Football stuff. All of that got eliminated. Not eliminated, there's still Beyond Football stuff on Zoom, but it's just not the same. Right? And so having Neil come talk to you and be great, be awesome. His story is incredible.
Okay, just a couple more here. Michael Lev, back to you.
Yes, thank you. In that video that we talked about earlier, Coach, there was a sign up that said "can't" means "won't." I believe I have that right. Is that a Tommyism, or is that something you got from somebody else?
No, that remember we were at UNLV's old stadium. That's left over from their previous coaching staff when they used to play there. Yeah.
It's a good one though, huh?
It is. And actually, Coach Tommy would have said it different. He would have said there's a difference between can't and won't. That would have been the way he would have said it.
So semantics then. Okay. I hear one more question for you about Nick Starkel. He threw 5 interceptions against you guys when you played against them a couple years ago.
Yep.
Did you see something though in him that led you to believe that maybe this guy can be a great quarterback? Or, I mean, you didn't know that he was going to leave and end up at your school, but you must have seen something or picked up something in that game.
Yeah, well, Nick always had like big time arm talent. Like he's one of the most effortless throwers I've ever seen. And I think Gunderson, our quarterback coach, Ryan Gunderson, did a fantastic job of evaluating that. And Gundy's been amazing, right? Because the year before he coached Josh Love. Josh Love was a walk-on, right? Struggled our first 2 years, but he was developing. He was improving. And then his senior year, he's Mountain West Player of the Year, Offensive Player of the Year, and 4th in the country in passing, right? Just really an awesome story. And Josh, that's how Starkel ended up here. Josh and Nick were roommates at a Steve Clarkson camp in the summer. And that's how that whole thing started. And, so then they played each other and we beat them. And then they went through another staff transition. And Nick was like, wow, this just keeps being a part of my college experience. Maybe I need a fresh start. And he reached out to Josh Love. and he just said, Josh, how will I feel about these coaches? Like, how will I feel about the quarterback coach, the scheme, and the head coach? And Josh is like, just come, you'll love it. And he's been fantastic. It's so cool for his story, for it to like have that game, to play the way he did in that game. Awesome.
Thank you.
Okay, Steve Rivera, go ahead.
I'm good. Thank you.
Jim Seamus, go ahead.
Coach, during times like this, when things are going so great, you're happy for everyone in the whole program. Can you talk about your relationship with Justin Allegre and your joy of, him getting to call these type games? By the way, I'm from the Santa Cruz Sentinel, and Justin's a local guy. So
yeah, Justin needs all kinds of props. I think him and Kit Rich do an awesome job, and it's cool because obviously I spent a decent amount of time with Justin with our radio show and interviews and game day, and I'm always excited about the people that care about San Jose State as much as I do, and that's where Justin falls. And obviously he's got the golden voice, that's why he's killing the radio the way he does, but he's just a great teammate. And that's one thing that I know I've said a lot during this run, but this is an incredible collaboration here at San Jose to get us back on track. And from the, Dr. Papazian to the athletic director, to Lawrence Fan, to Justin Allegre, like everybody has had a just incredible alignment and willingness to work and find a way to keep us moving forward. And, it's like, we're lucky to have good people working with us like him.
And then one other question, kind of Andy O'Rourke, is he a student assistant on the team? What's his role with the team if he's on there?
Yes, he's a student assistant, and he's developing as a young coach, and we love having him be a part of our program.
Did you have a student assistant job anywhere before?
Because I was playing football when I was in college. So then I started coaching right when I got out.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Coach. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Was not expecting that, but thank you, Coach. Appreciate it.
All good.
So that does it for our press conference. Again, thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. Lawrence, I will ask: are we having another one on Monday of game week?
We will schedule one when the team is in Tucson. Once we lock in the schedule, we'll get the word to folks.
Okay. So stay tuned for that and all other news at sjsuspartans.com. But thanks for watching, everybody, and we'll talk to you next week.